Okay, so we're on page, let me find a page, Shin Kaf Vav, and we're getting close, we're almost done here. It's written like this, so he writes like this, this is a place called Yichud Zair Vanuk. That's where we're at right now. Ksiv ki Bachar Hashem Betzion Iva Lo Moshev Lo. So the question is, really in this is, Hashem chose Zion, and then you have this word Iva, Lamoshev Lo, for dwelling for him, something like that. When we use the word Havai, we mean Zair Anpin. So he over his word, he says Bachar, he chooses, he desires, he seeks this Yichud with the yesod of the Nukva. That she should become a throne for him, or a place, a dwelling place for him. So that's his desire. And how will this take place? By actually making a yichud commotion evoyer, as we're going to explain. Kadis parshas metronisa. And now there's a separation that takes place. And she's on the back of Zair Anpin. Beso the Nasira, and she is removed surgically from the back of Zair Anpin. Is chavras b'malkach anpin b'anpin b'ma'al Shabbos. So when you come to the time of Erev Shabbos, he says, v'nis chavra b'leil Shabbos. He's not Erev Shabbos. He says the night of Shabbos. The yichud that takes place at that time is a yichud upani b'pani mimamelach shuhu Zair Anpin. So the yichud. So there is a yichud there. It's a abed kul l'chad gufa. When that happens, they become one body. They become like one body. So the chasadim and meeting together with the gevuras of the nukva, it causes them to come into one of this mizmatku hagevuras b'chasadim. And this is the idea, is to sweeten the gevuros with the chasadim. Look at then Yosef Kuchach B'Kursia. That's when a Kodesh Baruch Hu Kavayachol is sitting on his throne. Vaz a Kodesh Baruch Hu Shuchu Zair Anpin Yoshev Al Kiso. Kiranufin Asis Boba Bechinis Kisa Allah, because she comes like a chair for him, a place to receive him. V'Zelchu Sha'amar B'Pasach Zair Anpin Nisava. So this is also Nisava Taiva. She hungers for her, that she should become the dwelling place for him. Besod hayichud. And what does that dwelling mean? It means that they bring the sweetness into the difficulty. Ve'ikre kulu shmak shlim. V'az, when these come together, az nikra Hashem shalom, the name is complete. Ki Zair Anpin nikra shem yud kedvavke, v'hanukva nikra shem elokem. So now you're mixing the two. So at the time of the yichud, they become one complete name. So they're called by these two names. He doesn't say the Shilav, I don't think he says this, but they complete into one new name. Shema Kadisha, a holy one. So this brings a Kedusha, this name. Now, this is a little idea that I didn't quite fathom. He says, now they have a new name. So I would say the Kavaya of Chavaya and Elokim, that makes a new name in the Shilav. But he says it's also Shema Kedisha. Now, up to this point, it's okay. But Mochim El Yonam and Nikroim Kodesh, but he becomes Mekadesh with the Mochim that flow into him from a higher place. Barich Shemei L'Olam Olamim. Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo L'Olam Olamim. He just leaves it with that a little bit. So let his name, that name that is put together, live forever. So call Elin Milin Slechna. Call Divir Abisodas Elos. And now, although we've talked about all these sodos, they all leave. Let me see what that is right. He says, let me see. He says, Lekto. So he says, call Divir Hasodas Elo Ha'alise. I brought them Dati into my mind. Shalo Legalosa Ba'olam Hazet. So I never came into my mind. I guess he says that it never came to my mind. Yeah, Shalo Legalosa Ba'olam Hazet, not to reveal them. Ad Yom Ador. In other words, he says, until now. Ad Yom Hazet. This ater bechul almo the also because dati my das. Hoya misater was crowned behem lo olam haba in the next world. Now, once again, the words are ad yom adah. Okay, we understand that. Ki dati hoya lehis ater. That was my thought. Behem, I wanted to make this the crowning moment. Behem lo olam haba for the next world. La'achar peti rasi, that is after I'm no longer in this world. Mina olam hazeh. V'hashta yizgalyan hocha v'ata. Nizgalu kol elu hasoda ba'olam haza. So now we see there's a revelation of all these secrets. I have done this in this world. Zechol chulokim, boy, I have a wonderful portion. Ashrei chalki, happy is my portion. Then it says, Hi Matronisa, now the queen, he says, Malchut zu hi hanukva, kad ischavras im Malchut. So what happens then? Now she has this, she's made joined together and made a base moshev for Zair Anpin. He said, Rabishah shehi mischaveris in Amelech, when she's into oneness with the Melech, shehu Zair Anpin, B'leil Shabbos, in the night of Shabbos, which we said beso the Yichud, which is where the Yichud, the ultimate Yichud, take place. Kol Amim Mizbarach, and all the worlds become blessed. El Yonim v'Tachtoin, in the upper worlds, the lower world, B'Shefach, B'Brachos, and Nimshach, and Yidech, Yichud, for the brachos that come as a result of the Yichud. All the world is in joy, machmas kabbalah shefach yichud, because the shefa that comes from that yichud brings happiness. Kama diduchur chakalil b'slasa, kamo shachaguv shel Zair Anpin. So we see the Zair Anpin kolo mishlosha spheres b'tzuras sagol. Now let's try to understand what he's saying. So he says, let's understand Zair Anpin, and he says that he's incorporated. He has three spheros in the form of a segel. The Hainu Chesed Gevura, He Miyamin is small, Vatiferes Machriya Ba'emsa, and then the balancer is the middle line. And so now he brings into the middle these two elements. That's the Zair Anpin, they're the right and the left. Shel Zair Anpin, Kolo B'Shlosh Suras Segel, where am I? Kach Kulach B'Hochik Kach Kol HaSpheros Nizdarim B'Seder Chazeh. So all of the spheros are really in the Segel formation. B'Siyum B'Kol Guf B'Hochik. V'Gam Siyum Kol Guf, at the end of the body. You see the same thing. Shel Zair Anpin, Shehem Natzachot Yesod, is the Nai, Zair Anpin. Gam Hem Nizdaros B'Seder Chazeh. They're also organized in this way. Ki Netza Hod, they represent Yamin is small. Yamin of the small, Yesod Machriya Ba'ems, and then you see the middle line once again balancing V'kolo Bo as Netzach of a note, and ultimately Netzach and Hod flow into the Yesod. The Matronisa Lo Mizbarcho. The Malchut shehi hanukva, and the Malchut is Zair Anpin. Einem misbarechad b'shefa yichud. She can only get the blessing from that. Ela b'klal the slasa ilim. Only when these three combine. So he says, Ela al yedei his kalu shlosh spheros elu shall siyim guf Zair Anpin. That is the ones that are the end of Zair Anpin, which is his nine. The inan shehem netzach hod yesod. By yesod shall Zair Anpin hakoil limov as netzach and hod. The others are incorporated into it. Hu mashpia as shefach hayichud lahanukva. He is the one that is that lower element, is what ultimately connects that yesod and makes it possible to make a yichud. So from the power of this yichud, now we see that the sweetening and the perfuming of Miss Matekes and sweetened from her difficult dinim. And Miss Barachas b'shefach yichud, and she's blessed from the shefa that comes from the yichud ba'asid the Akre Kodesh and Kodesh and the Sata. Where is this? Hanikta b'socha makom yesod the nukva. So as this yesod goes into the yesod of the nukva, hanikva Kodesh Hakadoshim, in that place is called the Kodesh Hakadoshim Atachtoim. So what is the Kodesh Hakadoshim Elyon? I guess it would be Das. I'm not sure. So he said Moshe Kosev ki shom, that is b'makom the yesod of the nukva, which is known as Tzion. Tziva Hashem, that's where the commandment came from, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, which is Zair Anpin, as, what does he command? As Shefach HaBracha Shal HaYichud, so he's directing. I guess maybe Tziva means directing. The Yichud. Umavar Zahine Kodesh Kodesh. Let's go back to the Katza Kodesh Kodesh. That's the yesod of the nukvah of Yedur Shuchuch Olamata Ba'olam Hazeh. We understand that its real opening is real opening. Its opening is in this world. B'makom ha'aron shebebeis hamikdash. Where is its opening in this world? In the place of the Aron, of the base of Mikdash Yesh L'Shul. So there's a question here. Im came hey. So here's what he says. He said the Tachtonim and the Elyonim, he means Atzilus versus Asiya, where we're at. So we have that opening of the Aron. Let me see if I missed the question. Here it says, V'yesh L'Shul. Here's the question. He came Heich Ata Korah the Yesod and Nukva Al Yoina Sheberatzilus. B'shem Kodesh Hakadoshim, you call her by that name. And he answers, well, there's two different levels. Kishtei Dargos Heim, he said, Nikras Kodesh Hakadoshim, we should call, they get this label called Kodesh Hakadoshim. La'elav the Sata. Ha'achaz, he Kodesh Hakadoshim Lamala. That's the one of the, and where is that? That's found in the yesod of the Nukva Al Yoina in Olam Atzilus. V'hashniya he bebeis Kodesh Hakadoshim is down here in that most special place in the base of Mikdash, the Mata Ba'olam Hazeh. And Mavar Odin explains further. Shebeis Kodesh Hakadoshim, so that concept of the house of the holy Shechot Mata down here. So this is the question that they have, is that when you say that before you could build the base of Mikdash down below, you have to build the one up above. So here we talk about the two in Itzilus is the opening to be able to pour into our world. To begin Kach, and begin Kach, Lis Rishus of the male Talmud, so you're not allowed to go there. Lefichoch Ein Rishus La'adam, the Kane is the Kodesh Hakadoshim, because this very special, ultimate place in this world, Shalmata, Bar Kahan the Rabbah, the only one could come is the Kohen Gadol. And when? B'Yom Kippurim, at a time of acceptance. The Hasach have been sit with the Chesed. Shorsho, where is the Kohen Gadol? He is the root. Ba mitzad Svirus Chesed, the Elyon, he's really lined up on Chesed. Begin the Fish Kodesh Hakadosh, because this holy place, Shalmata, which really represents at the same time Shalamala, who Kedugmas Kodesh Hakadosh Shalmala, it's like the one up above. The lo ayal lahaku asa the laela, because no one can enter into the yesod of the nukva in olam atzila v'rena nikta the soch osa makom ha'elyon shu kodesh hakadosh shamala el lahaku the ikre chesed, only that element which is chesed. Understand that this is the concept of chesed, sweetening gevuros. Raka yesod shel Zair Anpin hanikra chesed, so only yesod is Zair Anpin, which we're calling chesed here. Al Shem Tipas HaChasadim HaNimshacha Bepicha Yesod. And why is this? Because the drops of Chasadim that manage to make their way into the opening of the Yesod of Bara Odin explains furthermore. If Ha'ayel B'Kodesh Hakadoshim, so then he goes into the Kodesh Hakadoshim V'cha Yesod Azera B'Shucha B'Pechil Kohen Gadol Elyon. Now we're talking. Okay, we just got a disconnect. Wait for the call. All right, we're back again. I don't know where I lost you exactly. He had said the basic idea that only the Kohen Gadol, who represents pure chesed, that's my word, pure chesed, the only one that can touch or go into this place of the Kodesh Kodshim in Olam Hazeh. So I'm down at the bottom at the right column. It says Alu Dikre Chesed. That one's called Chesed. Raka Yesod Shel Zair Anpin, which is called Chesed. Hashem Tipas HaChasadim and Nimshachas B'Pi HaYesod. And it's not called Chesed for nothing. It's because it's full of Chesed. The Mavar O then explains furthermore. Va'ayil B'Kodesh Hakadoshim. By Yesod Hazeh. Shechu B'Bechinas Kohen Gadol Elyon. So this Yesod, which is the aspect of the upper Kohen Gadol, that is the Chesed in Olam Atzilus. Who hanikta b'kodesh hakadoshim shel ma'ala. He's the one that is that chesed is what enters. Mizbasmas and nukfa, and it sweetens up that nukfa. It makes her perfumes her. Mizbesemis and nukfa v'chayetecha v'chasanim shel yesod. So now she becomes sweeter. Mizmatekas b'gvurasecha, and she is sweetened from all of the dinim. Mizbarcha chai kodesh v'kadoshim, and now the blessing comes out from that place. Mizbarach b'shefa bracho. Zecha b'Kodesh Kodesh Shecha ba'al the Kodesh Kodesh Mopabav Shecha yesod the nukva, which is the yesod the nukva. The go inside Asach the Ikrit Zion, until you get to this hidden place inside Shehul Lifnai v'Lifnim Shal HaNukva. This is in the most innermost part, but Malcolm and Nikrat Zion, in that place which is her yesod called Zion. So let's look at our world. He said, there was no creature that had rishus to go into that most holy of places. Only the Kohen Gadol, who is the aspect of Chesed, could do Yesod the Elyon. So then he says that Sion v'Yushalayim trin daging mina. Now you have two different words. One is called Sion, one's called Yushalayim. Sion v'Yushalayim shtei dargos heim on benukva alyayin. Chad rachmei v'chad dina. So when we talk about one is rach, one's sweetened, one's not. Sion koyed dargos rachmem. It's the level of mercy. V'Yushalayim he dargos din. Umevi raya lekach. So how do we get this idea? This is the word Sion he dargos rachmem. Because we have this pasuk, Sion b'mishpat tipade. So the pirosh Sion, who's the Sion? Who's this? The yesod of the nukva. Tipade al yetechet b'Zair Anpin. She will be redeemed. How? Out of her, let's say, her dinim. From Zair Anpin, hat nikra mishpat, who has the word justice. Behind the yesod Zair Anpin, it means what? By using the yesod Zair Anpin, which he said before, is called chesed. That enters into this kodshim of the nukva in the concept of a yichud. V'Yushalayim he dargas din. We know that means din. Kamosha kasav tzedek yolim ba. That tzedek is lashon of let's say pirush tzedek shuhu bebechinas dinim begevuras kashem, because tzedek really represents that concept of justice again, being being employed. He said, Kashem, Yalim Besmidos, it will continuously dwell, Bebechinas Yerushalayim, that aspect, Kamado Kibna, like we have explained. Apparently, we talked about this before. So, apparently, the yesod of the Nukva, or around it, is also this concept of Sion. So, all of the desire of the male is to get to this place. Chukas Zair Anpin the Gabi Nukva who b'makom is in this place. Shukab Yesod the Benim Nikrat Sion, which is on the inside Yesod, which is called Sion. Ki Zair Anpin wrote to the Hashpir Sham Ayedera Yesod Shalom, because he wants to use Zair Anpin, wants the connection. V'karina l'chu barocho v'lushneicha Yesoda. So these two yesodas coming together, Shel Zair Anpin v'nukva anu korim b'shem bracha. We call these two together, these two yesodas, by the word bracha. Mistake nafke birkan l'kulhul almim, and then the mitaman ki mishnei yesodas hallelujah yotzin shefa brachos l'olam. This is the origin of all brachos, about putting these two opposites into the ultimate yichud. V'kulchum mizbarchim v'kol cholomus mizbarchim, and all the worlds then become blessed. V'atam sheyesod the nukva nikra Kodesh Hakadoshim. So let's go to this. Why is her yesod called this? Why Kodesh Hakadoshim? Hay asa ikra kodesh sheki zeh hamacham shel yesod the nukva nikra kodesh, because this place, the place of the nukva, is called holy. Mitzad Atzma, that's it just by itself. It's a precious, special place. The V'kol Kedoshim to the Churach Island, Tom, and then all the Kedoshim, let's see what he means. Begam Kol Chasadim, Shel Zair Anpin. So now all the Chasadim that are inside of Zair Anpin, on the Ikroim Kedoshim, Niknasim Sham. So they're called Kedoshim. So you have Kodesh is the place, and Kedoshim is what wants to get there. Besod Shefach HaYichud, because it wants to get there, is called Kedoshim. He says they put him together. V'hachu darga da'amena, ayidecha be'osach adarga, shuhu yesod shel Zair Anpin. So now getting to this level where everything is emptied into the yesod of Zair Anpin, Gomosha Amarti, as I've explained. V'lechein nikra yesod the nukva Kodesh Hakadoshim. So therefore she's called the Kodesh Hakadosh Galomar. Makom HaKodesh Shebo Niknazim HaKadoshim. So that means that the place which is called Tzion, which is also called Kodesh, Niknasim Hakadoshim, which are the chesodim. So this interesting metaphor, because what he's saying is that the nukva is the concept of kodesh, which is a concept of place. This is a lashon Malchut, and then the chesadim are in plural because they're coming from the Zachar, and he's got everything to give to her. So in other words, he's bringing it to the so to speak the place. So why they call him plural? And where they're coming from. If we call Eidach Chasadim, he says all of these Chasadim, Shel Zair Anpin, Nikroim Kadoshim, Nimshakin Ibrahim Rosha Elyon, they're extending down, they're flowing down from the upper head, Shu Hagugolish Zair Anpin, which is the skull of Zair Anpin in Mavoyer, and explains. Umakor Hamshachas Chasadim, so where is the fount before the font from which these come? Misitra the Mochi Law, the Sharya Bay. They're coming from Mitzad HaMochem Al-Yonim Shal Abba V'im, and Abba V'im are inside of the Rosh Zair Anpin, and this is the origin. Hashor which are the Hashorim which dwell, Umuluvashim B'socho Gugolish Zair Anpin, they're inside of the head of Zair Anpin. V'lechein Heim Nikroim Kadoshim, so that's the reason why they're called in plural. Al Shem HaMochem, because there are two different sets of Mochem flowing into Zair Anpin, Shal Abba V'im Nikroim Kodesh. So that's Kadoshim. V'nagid hi bracha. So now the bracha comes out. Min rosh Zair Anpin, from his head, nimshakim v'yordim eidach chasadim v'nikroim brachas, and now the chasadim, which are called by the word bracha, start to flow. Because shaife gufa, mispashtim because a vari haguf shel Anpin, and they spread into the entire body of Zair Anpin, as we've seen. Ad ilan deikrun svakois, until they get to a place which is called svakois. Vayordel mispashtim ad osim agavarnim and nikroim svakos, and they keep going until they reach this place called svakos. Shehem natza chod abinimim dechaydach hashtei beim. Now he says that just put it together, there is an inside a netzach and hod. This is contained in the beim of Zair Anpin. So how is it? Ultimately, the flow comes to there. V'kol haku negido deis negid mikol gufa miskanei shtaman. V'achar kach kol osa shefas, and now all of the shefa that's coming, we just said it pouring in from Abba V'ima, is a kol ofa shefa hamispashe be'ivari aguf, now spreading into the limbs of his body. Nimshachem mikol aguf, they extend into the entire body. And they gather together in these two testicles. And they're there. What is their purpose? What do? They ripen the seed. Now, exactly what that means, I'm not sure. And that's the reason why they're called by the name of a host. They're called Tzvakos, the Elohim, Vesatoim, Tam and Nafkim, because all of the hosts, the whole army, comes out of this place. He calls Tzvakos Alyonim V'Tachtoinim, Shehem HaNeshamot V'Chamalochem, and says, what does he mean by the armies? So he says he means the Neshamas that are going into the Jewish people and the Malachim. And all of this comes out from the Chasadim that are gathered together in the area of the gonads. So now all of this shefa, after it's gathered together and then it's put in the proper formation, sham b'netzach and ho b'sod bishol azera. So he says that if you put it together, they're gathered together v'nisaktu. This is called bishol azera. Sharian le b'haku yesod kedisha. So then what comes after that? After is properly prepared in order, all the shefa that's coming in, and now they're in this place called the yesod of Zair Anpin. And all of it is white. Because of the chesed that is in it, it's all whiteness. Shum al tyrovus gavun adam shemitzad the gevura. So they're what he said, below shum, without any mixture of outside forces, of any redness. Begin kach ikre chesed, and that's the reason why it's called chesed, because there's nothing else there but chesed. But the came the nikra gam hayisod b'shem chesed, al shem shefa chasadim, because of what's inside of it, the shefa and the chasadim, ha'elach ha'oivrim b'sochol, which are passing through it. V'halchu chesed ayel the Kodesh Hakadoshim, so it winds up going into the yesod of the nukva. The mekoyach elach chasadim and nimshacha b'sochol, because that the power of those chasadim and niknas the yesod is there, and nikra chesed, this yesod which now has the name chesed. El toch Kodesh Hakadoshim shuchol yesod the nukva, which is the yesod of the nukva gedei lamatik as a gevura sech, because she's made of the gevura, so yedereh be'elach chasadim, the chasadim should sweeten her. The Moshe Kazaki Sham, B'makom Yisod the Nukva HaNikvat Sion, in the place of the Yisod of the Nukva, which was called by the name Sion. Tziva Hashem commands Shuhu Zair Anpin, who is the commander, Esh Shefa Bracha, that the Shefa Bracha Shal Yichud Shehem Chasadim, which are the Chasadim, Anim Shachim Min HaMochim Al Yonim, and the Kroim Chaim, which coming from the Mochim Al Yonim, which is Abba Ve'ima up above, which are called life. Nimshachim ad hanukva. So he puts a special hey there. He says Nimshachim ad hanukva hanikra olam, who's also called the word olam, Chaim ad olam. That's it. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Kol tov.